Hi, J Dilla. The reason why I want to talk about donuts specifically is because donuts is maybe the perfect personification of a persistent black art form. And that art form is sampling. To me, sampling is one of the lower, lesser talked about black art forms. It's not taken as seriously as a lot of other art forms because so many look at it as this idea of stealing other people's work and laziness and not producing your own creativity. But so much of sampling is based in creativity and in black tradition. Sampling is taking the stuff that's come before you to make something new. And I don't think there's anything more integral to black art than that entire philosophy of taking what's came before you and making something new, especially when in a lot of instances black creatives did not have something to look forward to in the future. And the thing that I think makes Donuts specifically so impactful is that this album was made as J Dilla was dying. He knew he did not have a future. So instead of looking toward that for inspiration, he looked to the past. Donuts by J Dilla has over 75 samples. Some stuff you've heard, some stuff you haven't, but that's crazy. And this is before, you have the wave audio file. So this was him going meticulously through all of these songs, selecting what he wanted, and then creating something out of that, and him doing that process over and over and over again. And that's, like I said earlier, that's black art for most of its history, right? You go back to slavery, when they came here, a lot of their culture is stripped from them. So what do you have to do? You still have to do stuff when you're not, being forced to work. You still have to find some level of enjoyment in your life, right? So they take the hymns from the white churches and make them into their own. They make something new out of them that becomes their own new culture. Same with soul food. Soul food is that same process of taking the scraps from white slave masters and making something out of that now fits your new identity. And that's just black art. And I can keep going on with examples of this. Even hip-hop itself spawns from this idea of we don't have our own art, so how do we make something that's ours? And I think sampling is really kind of, at least in the sphere of hip-hop, the culmination of that. Imagine for a moment you are a poor black kid who can't afford an instrument, and maybe if you can't afford classes to even learn how to play that instrument properly. So all you have is the records you're playing. All you have is hearing a particular sound that just is stuck in your head and knowing that you can make something with that. That's J Dilla's Donuts. That is so many producers. That is now. You hear produced sampling has become such an important part of music now, but for a time it was looked down upon. Like a lot of predominantly black art forms, it was seen as less serious. Same as rock and roll, same as jazz. It was looked down upon until white people started doing it and seeing how valuable it really was as a piece of art. And so J Dilla's Donuts is this important call to look to the past, to look to what came before you, to create your art. And I think there's nothing more important that black artists need to hear, because sometimes there won't always be a future to look to support your art, but the past is always there. The past will always be there, and I think that's kind of what so much of black history is, just kind of acknowledging the past to help create a future. And not to get too philosophical, but you look at Martin Luther King, so much of his work is acknowledging the poor treatment of African Americans and black people in the past, and hoping to use that as fuel to make something better, and I think, and I don't know if that's what J Dilla intended with this album. I think this album was just supposed to be his last goodbye, but I think that's the beauty of just this album. There's so much in it that can mean something, and there's so much about sampling that this work represents about black art. And so, yeah, that is J Dilla's Donuts. Keep reusing art. Bye.